They spilled wine on a maid. The mafia boss just watched, until night made him remember who she really was. I'm Lena Morales, maid of the Valente mansion, 6 months of silence, rules, and marble floors that never forget a footstep. I thought I'd learned invisibility, until that night proved I hadn't. I was clearing glasses when Vivian Lauren turned, all diamonds and cruelty. My elbow brushed hers. The wine fell, red against white silk. The room froze. "You should know your place," she said, and poured the rest over my head. Laughter followed, metallic, rehearsed. I didn't move. I didn't cry. The floor was colder than the wine. Phones lifted. Someone whispered, "That's the boss's maid." I knelt, gathering glass, each shard reflecting faces pretending not to watch. At the head table, Dante Valente, the man who owned the air. He didn't speak, didn't blink. Power is the quietest person in the room. I wanted him to stop them. He didn't. That hurt worse than the humiliation. My hand slipped. A shard cut my palm. Still, I kept cleaning. Blood mixed with wine. Same color, different truth. "She's brave," someone laughed. I looked up and met his eyes. Just once. Silence hit harder than laughter. For a moment, I saw something break behind his calm. Maybe anger. Maybe recognition. Then the moment closed and he looked away, control restored. Pain banked. Later, I scrubbed the stain from my uniform. My hands shaking. The water ran red, then clear, then red again. I could still hear them laughing through the marble. But worse, I could still hear him not saying anything. They poured wine on a maid, and for a heartbeat, the world learned what cruelty tastes like. Sometimes silence is mercy. Sometimes it's a promise. He didn't stop the humiliation. But that night, he found me. And the silence finally broke. I stayed up scrubbing the wine out of my hair until my fingers went numb. The smell clung, bitter and red, like shame that wouldn't wash off. By the time I heard his footsteps behind me, I'd already decided never to look up again. "You missed a spot." His voice was calm. Too calm. I froze, towel halfway to my neck. When I finally looked at him, the same man who hadn't lifted a finger to stop them, he was holding out his jacket. "You shouldn't have let them see you bleed." He wasn't asking. He was remembering. That's when I saw his eyes drop to my shoulder. The scar, the mark he'd given me 5 years ago, back when the world was fire and I pulled him from it. He didn't say my name, but the silence did. "That night, you dragged me out," he said softly. I never forgot. I wanted to speak, but guilt choked the words. How could a man like him remember a girl like me? He took the towel from my hand and wiped the last trace of wine from my neck. Every move precise, deliberate. The kind that makes you forget what safety means. "They spilled wine on my savior," he whispered. "They'll drown in it." My pulse tripped over itself. He wasn't angry, not exactly. It was something quieter, something that made the room too small. "You shouldn't have come back," I said. "You shouldn't have saved me," he replied. The distance between us dissolved like steam. When he left, I stared at the towel, at the faint trace of wine that had turned brown. I should have felt safe. Instead, I felt claimed. And somewhere deep in my chest, that scared me more than anything. He didn't stop them when they mocked me. But later, he remembered every drop that hit my skin. Maybe mercy just takes its time. The man who forgot to protect me became the one I couldn't forget. They said I was sleeping with the boss. Then they said I tried to kill him. Rumors are louder than bullets here. They don't kill you outright. They just wait until you stop defending yourself. By noon, everyone in the mansion had already decided who I was. A resignation form slid across the table. "Sign it," Marco said, Dante's right-hand man, loyal like a shadow. "You don't belong here anymore." I looked at the paper, then at him. "I'm not done yet," I said. He smiled like pity was currency. "You will be." That night, I found a gun in my bag. Cold, heavy, not mine. The door burst open before I could breathe twice. Police, voices sharp as glass. Hands on me, cuffs, flashbulbs. I didn't fight. What's the point? The guilty always look calm in this world. You think you can frame me for him? I asked one officer. He didn't answer. They never do. Somewhere, someone wanted me gone. Quietly, legally, finally. The station door opened. He walked in like the floor remembered his footsteps. Dante Valente. She doesn't leave in cuffs, he said, voice calm enough to terrify. They obeyed before thinking why. He showed them the footage, Marco slipping the gun into my bag. He thought she was leverage, Dante said. He forgot who she saved. My throat closed. My silence said everything. In the car, he handed me the phone again. The video looped. Marco, my bag. My hands shaking. He's in custody, Dante said. No one touches him until you say so. Power, offered like mercy. I didn't want it. I wanted my life back. But in his world, debt is a form of gravity. You don't escape it, you orbit it. They tried to frame me. He framed the truth instead. Now I wasn't the victim. I was the warning. He saved me from the lie by making me part of his truth. They mocked the maid once. This time they bowed and called her queen. I thought survival meant silence. But in Dante Valente's world, silence turns into spectacle. The next invitation had my name engraved in gold, an apology disguised as theater, a gala, under chandeliers heavy enough to crush truth. I walked in wearing the dress he sent, deep blue silk, cold against my skin. Then I heard it. That's her. The queen's dress. His late wife's. The laughter this time wasn't cruel. It was curious. Curiosity is just cruelty rehearsing. Vivian Lauren waited near the stage, smile too polished to mean safety. Drink? She offered, voice dripping sugar. I took the glass. Red again, always red. My fingers didn't tremble this time. The crowd shifted, phones raised, the underworld smelling scandal. Then Dante appeared, cutting through them like gravity through smoke. He set a silver ring on the table, the same serpent engraved in it. She wears what belongs to my queen, he said. Because she is my queen. Silence collapsed. Every head bowed. My heartbeat filled the hall. I wanted to breathe. I couldn't. Power had changed direction, and I was standing at the wrong end of it. I pulled him aside, breath sharp. You just started a war. He looked down, calm, steady. The world took you from me once, he said. I'm taking it back. His eyes burned not with lust, with faith. And somehow that was more dangerous. The next morning, his allies stopped meeting his eyes. I wasn't a maid anymore. I was a liability with a crown. The mansion hummed with silence, the kind that precedes ruin. I should have felt proud. I felt like an omen. They called it devotion. But devotion that loud always costs blood. He made me untouchable. And that's how they learned where to aim. They crowned me in silk. Then they buried me in whispers. Power looks good under chandeliers until the lights go out. After that night, every hallway in the Valente mansion carried my name like a warning. The maid who became the boss's weakness. By morning, the rumors multiplied. The staff avoided my eyes, but not their smirks. Even Marco's name came back, whispered, alive, vengeful. Someone left a note on my tray. He'll trade you next. I tore it up. Pretended it didn't shake. Then Dante's voice filled the hall. My study. Now. Orders always sound like protection until you step inside. He stood by the window, tie undone, a storm disguised as calm. They're saying you leaked the files, he said. Did you? I met his eyes. Would it matter if I said no? His jaw tightened. It should. I took a step closer. Then trust me. He hesitated. 1 heartbeat, 2, then nodded. That's when the shot cracked through the window. Glass rained like applause. He pulled me down first before reaching for his gun. The silence after sounded like loyalty bleeding. You're hit, I said. It's nothing. But his sleeve was red, same color as the wine they'd poured on me once. I pressed my hand to it anyway. He caught my wrist. You shouldn't care. Then stop making me. The world outside kept shooting. We stayed still. When it ended, he walked out to face his men. "Find who aimed for her," he ordered. "Not me, not us, her." I realized then, mercy wasn't love. It was ownership disguised as devotion. And I was already too deep to climb back out. That night, the blood dried darker than wine. I didn't wash it off. Some debts stain you for protection. He saved my life by killing what was left of his own. He bled for me in private. The world made sure we both paid in public. The party came before the funeral. Same hall, same chandeliers. Only this time, every eye waited for a different kind of blood. They didn't call me the Maid anymore. They called me the Reason. The microphone hummed again, that cursed sound that never learned mercy. Vivian stood near the bar, alive and dangerous, her smile sharpened by survival. "The boss's pet looks nervous," she said loudly enough for cameras to care. The laughter came soft, practiced. Then Dante's voice cut through. "Enough." Just one word. But in this world, even mercy echoes like a threat. The crowd parted around us, hungry for spectacle. I could feel the lenses breathing. "Apologize," Vivian said. "For what?" I asked. "Existing in silk that doesn't belong to you." Dante's hand found the edge of the table, the same motion he used before war. I shook my head. "Not this time." She laughed. "Then watch him fall for you again." He didn't move. Just silence. Heavy, dangerous, deliberate. Somewhere behind the flashbulbs, loyalty began to crack. A guard reached for me. Dante caught his wrist mid-air. "Touch her," he said quietly, "and you'll never use that hand again." The man froze. The crowd didn't. Whispers turned to panic, panic to headlines. I saw it in his eyes, the cost written before payment. He'd just made himself guilty for me. Again. Hours later, the news ran his silence like proof. The boss who snapped for a maid. His empire began to crack. Allies withdrew. Enemies multiplied. And all I could do was sit in that same blue dress, hearing the echo of glass and blood from every night before. Power doesn't die. It just remembers who betrayed it. He'd saved me too loudly. And now the silence was mine to carry. The night he defended me, I became the weapon that ruined him. He lost his empire for me. I lost the right to call it love. The mansion slept in whispers. Guards gone. Doors unlocked. Power doesn't explode. It fades like perfume after violence. I was still wearing the blue dress. It smelled of smoke and apology. Dante vanished into silence. No word, no order. Only absence heavy enough to count as punishment. I cleaned the same table I'd once been crowned beside. Wine stains gone. Reputation not. The servants watched, waiting for me to break. I didn't. I'd already broken, quietly, where it didn't show. Every room remembered him differently. The study smelled of whiskey. The hall of loyalty. In the mirror, I looked like both witness and crime scene. A knock at midnight, soft, cautious. "You should leave," a guard said, "before they make you regret staying." "Regret?" I asked. "Surviving him," he answered. The door shut. The echo stayed. I found his cufflink on the floor. Silver, serpent-etched. I pressed it into my palm until the edges bit skin. Pain always tells the truth first. For the first time, I whispered it aloud. I ruined him. The air didn't disagree. I packed nothing that mattered. Just the towel he once handed me and the silence that followed. As I left, the lights flickered. One final heartbeat from a dying kingdom. He'd built it for control. I'd turned it into confession. Outside, the wind carried the faint hum of a microphone. Same sound as the night this all began. Maybe guilt keeps its own soundtrack. He lost everything for loving me. I found myself by leaving him. The silence didn't forgive me. It taught me how to breathe again. Morning came without permission. I opened the curtains, not for light, just proof the world still moved. Dust hung where our names used to. I'd spent nights calling what we had survival. Now alone, it sounded like truth pretending to be love. Every bruise had turned into memory, every memory into lesson. "He wasn't cruel," I whispered. Just tired of pretending not to be. Coffee steamed in 2 cups. habit refusing to die. I drank from both. Somewhere, a city woke up, softer than before. Maybe mercy wasn't something you begged for. Maybe it's what's left when pain stops being useful. I looked at my scar, his mark, my proof, and for the first time, it didn't burn. If I ever see him again, I told the empty room, I won't ask why he didn't save me. I'll ask why he thought I needed saving at all. The answer lived in the echo. Healing didn't arrive with closure. It arrived with work. Folding sheets, paying rent, ordinary became sacred again. I stopped waiting for footsteps behind me. That's how you know you're healing, when silence finally feels like home. The city noise outside sounded like forgiveness rehearsing. I didn't join in. I just listened. Maybe love was mercy after all. Just not the kind that stays. Someone knocked. Once, softly. The kind of sound that doesn't ask permission. I didn't move. Doors remember who they're meant to open for. When I turned the handle, he was there. Not as power, not as danger, just gravity. The kind that pulls even when you don't want it to. You shouldn't be here, I said. Probably, he answered. His voice had weight again, the kind that bends walls instead of breaking them. Between us, the word I'd thrown once like a weapon. Murderer. It hung there, thin and alive. He didn't sit. I didn't offer. The space between us worked harder than we did. He glanced at my wrist, the bracelet he'd given, the mark I'd kept. You still wear it, he said. You still think that means something? His silence said yes. My breath said don't. He stepped closer, slow enough for me to change my mind. I didn't. You think I hate you, I whispered. Don't you? I wish I did. The truth left a taste. Sharp, clean, unstoppable. His hand reached for my wrist, hesitated, then rested. Not a pull, a pause. Every second of distance before this one finally collapsed. I didn't flinch. I didn't forgive. I just felt human again. Neither of us moved first. The night exhaled for us. Some things don't need forgiveness to be understood. The night exhaled for us, and then stopped. He stepped back first. It didn't look like retreat until it did. The air between us folded like paper too thin to hold its shape. I didn't follow. I couldn't tell if I'd lost him or just his lie. The phone buzzed once, a tiny mechanical betrayal. His eyes flicked to it. Guilt moved faster than sound. What did you do? I asked. Silence. That was the answer. It always had been. You lied to me. Not about you. That's worse. I know. Words crashed quietly. Nothing broke but trust. His voice was the kind that begged to be forgiven by its own echo. I hated how it still worked. He took off his jacket, not to leave but to surrender. Power drained from the room, leaving only the shape of consequence. You think I killed him, he said. Didn't you? His eyes lifted, steady, stripped. No, I covered for you. The world tilted. Maybe it was the truth. Maybe it was me. Every reason I'd hated him came back as proof I'd never stopped believing him. Love and guilt. Same pulse, different name. He didn't defend himself. That was the worst part. Truth didn't save us. It only made the lie holy. Love didn't leave. It just stopped answering when I called its name. The sun came up like it didn't care. He was gone before light could find the space where he'd stood. Only the cufflink remained. Silver, serpent, guilt. I didn't cry. Grief requires belief. I was out of both. News travels faster than forgiveness. They said the Valente Empire was over. Assets seized, allies vanished, blood on walls no one would claim. He turned himself in. Someone whispered. For who? I asked. No one answered. But I knew. I went back to the mansion one last time. Empty halls, cold glass, the sound of wealth forgetting its name. On his desk and a letter. No greeting, no plea. Just a line written in his impossible handwriting. Mercy isn't forgiveness. It's choosing who gets to walk away. My breath caught between the words mercy and walk. He'd done both. I sat on his chair, the one no one touched, and felt its weight pull at my spine. For the first time, I let the tears fall. Not for him, for the version of me that thought love could rewrite guilt. Outside, sirens whispered his name like prayer. Somewhere he was paying my debt. I wanted to run, to stop him, to undo it all. But the truth was cruel. I'd already let him go the moment I called him a monster. The mansion sighed, wood shifting, walls remembering. Love doesn't die loud. It leaves quietly, like dust leaving sunlight. He saved me by disappearing. I hated him for teaching me how. Hay called it an ending. I called it the sound of mercy learning my name. Months passed. Seasons change the way stories do when no one's watching. The papers stopped printing his name, but the silence never did. I moved cities. I moved on. Only the scar came with me, small, pale, honest. One morning, a package arrived. No return address, no note. Inside the recording, a single voice, low, steady, his. "If you're hearing this," he said, "then you already understand." I didn't. Not yet. He spoke like confession was a language he'd finally learned to pronounce. "I didn't want forgiveness," he said. "I wanted you to be free enough not to need me." The room felt smaller with every word. Then the line that undid me. "They spilled wine on my savior. I drowned for her. And I'd do it again." My breath broke before my heart did. I pressed my forehead to the speaker, eyes closed. Sound became pulse. Pulse became grief. "You always were the better liar," I whispered. The kindest lie was that this ended with either of us saved. I took the bracelet off that night, silver serpent against fading light, and left it by the window. Some debts don't need to be repaid. They just need to rest. The city outside didn't know who I was. For the first time, that felt right. Mercy isn't a gift or a punishment. It's the echo of what survives when love stops demanding to be believed. He taught me how to bleed quietly and how to live louder.